For this video, I want to talk about the 2002 film Gangs of New York. I still only have the DVD. I really want to get the Blu-ray and really soak this one in, but my most recent viewing has been on DVD, but hopefully that'll change soon. This has always been a sentimental favorite of mine. It was actually the first Martin Scorsese movie that I saw in theaters. So that was always a really big deal for me. Obviously, I was fairly young when it came out. And up until that, I had discovered his movies on video. I loved his movies, and I was so excited to see this epic masterpiece that Martin Scorsese had been working on for decades. If you know the history of the film, Scorsese, he wanted to make the movie since the early 80s. So it's definitely really exciting to finally get a chance to see it. So definitely because it was the first movie of his that I did see in theaters. I'll always have a really soft spot for it, and in a lot of ways, I mean, it does kind of sort of feel like his first movie, and kind of like a new generation of Scorsese. So his first movie of the new millennium, his first movie with his now legendary partnership with Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, and just really kind of the first movie, aside from maybe Last Temptation of Christ, that had such a huge scope. So this was a huge undertaking for Scorsese, and I really got to commend him for the work he did on this movie and how he pulled it off. Nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, didn't win any, not a single one, which kind of sucks, but. You'd think it would at least win for those amazing sets. Like the sets, apparently, the story goes, all the sets were physical. They're really there. People could live there. That's how elaborate the sets were, recreating, the New York of the 1800s. So the story goes that George Lucas, a friend of Scorsese's, visited this set one day and said, you can make all this with computers now. You realize that. So I'm glad he didn't, because kind of that the sets really do feel real, and they are indeed real. Brings a real kind of realism to it that you don't get too often, at least not on this scale. I can't believe the sets didn't win for an Academy Award. They're just incredible. Movie itself, it is the story of Civil War era, Lincoln under the presidency, New York. Irish coming in from the boats, not being welcome, and I kind of feel like a personal liking for the movie, because I am half Irish. I do have ancestors who came off the boats, not to New York, but close by to the fabled land of Toronto, where they're more accepting apparently. But yeah, it kind of deals with that kind of racism, and the natives, the so-called natives, which whatever, hating on the Irish, but I think it is a really strong movie. Definitely the highlight of this movie is Daniel Day-Lewis, who is incredible as William Cutting, aka Bill the Butcher, who owns the whole movie as the antagonist, Bill the Butcher. He's just brilliant. I mean, definitely takes away from the supposed lead character by Leonardo DiCaprio, Amsterdam Vallon, but not so much to alienate him so much, because it is his story, and they're two very interesting characters. Like, basically the way it goes, the beginning of the film, it begins with this big battle between the gangs of New York. The leader of one, of course, being Liam Neeson as Priest Vallon, who is killed, and his son is Amsterdam Vallon. Basically, the way it starts, Amsterdam Vallon grows up. He wants revenge, so that's his main goal. He grew up in foster care and in the orphanage, and they attempted to bring him up in the church, make him live a good, clean life, whatever. But no, his heart is just encumbered with a desire for revenge, and that's all he's going to focus on, and trying to get to Bill the Butcher, and kind of the sneaky sort of way he does it. but at the same time, when he's getting in good with Bill the Butcher, being taken under his wing, he says, "That's the funny thing about being taken under a dragon's wing. It's strange how warm it is." So I thought that was pretty cool, and how he kind of questions himself. And then ultimately, I mean, what the movie really is about, it's Amsterdam kind of pushing away that hatred, and kind of learning more about himself, and kind of what his father fought and indeed died for, and taking on those principles. So, it's definitely an area of history it's like the grime under the fingernails of history. So it's a very dirty and gritty film, with some very, very tough moments. Like, there is violence, but like with Scorsese, you can expect that, but not. Uh, a lot of times, it's very suggested violence, so you don't see like people. You don't see shots like kind of focusing too much on the violence, but there's definitely some violent moments in this movie, and like one of them, you don't even see; it's just implied. Like Bill the Butcher, he takes the knife and slams, like slices the guy's hand, and like sticks it to the table, but you don't even see it. You just hear it, and you hear his screaming, and like your brain does the rest. So I don't know. There's that, and of course, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, who's excellent in the film, a great Bill the Butcher, and he's not like the evil bad guy, really. Like, you kind of get a sense of where he's sort of coming from, and the control that he has, and the most daunting thing about the character is that he does truly believe in what he's fighting for. Meanwhile, Amsterdam, he does not. So that's kind of the parallel of the characters. But as Amsterdam grows a little bit more, they become more even rivals, as Bill the Butcher and his father, Priest Valen, was. This movie, it's close to 3 hours, so it's definitely a long watch. The thing is, I mean, each time I watch it, I feel like its imperfections kind of rear their ugly heads each time. Like, it kind of feels like, I don't know, a lot of stuff is missing. Like, you feel like they cut out a lot. Apparently, like, the original running time was 4 hours. So they kind of whittled it down to be like the main points, the basic points. But I would have liked this movie if it was maybe even a little longer. I know that's not always the best. I mean, some people will be like, "Oh, this movie's so long, they should have trimmed it down." No, I think the movie would have helped a little bit. And being a little bit longer, and of course, there's things about it that aren't quite as good. DiCaprio, he's good, but he sounds like the Lucky Charms leprechaun, so it's not that great. No, he's not that bad. He's not like Tom Cruise in Far and Away, but not great. Cameron Diaz, not that great. They're both okay. The thing is, I mean, if there were any other actor in that movie aside from Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't think the imperfections in the other performances would be as glaring as they are in this movie. So that kind of, you have this absolute amazing actor living this character, living, breathing, sleeping, eating this character, so consumed by it, so brilliant in his performance that everyone else pales in comparison. But that's a good thing and a bad thing about the movie. So it's hard to really say. But at the end of it all, I mean, I do think it's a very, very good work from Martin Scorsese. I think it falls a little bit short of greatness. It should have been a better movie. But the fact that he was just able to take a project on this kind of scope and pull it off, because it's not a bad movie. It's a very, very good movie. But my only complaint, in someone who loves Scorsese so much, I was like, it should have been greater. But what have you. Again, so it did kind of feel like his first movie. So you can even see in the next movies that he does, he feels more comfortable making bigger movies like this. So it definitely has its place in Martin Scorsese's filmography. Definitely not in my favorites of his movies, but it's a good movie. I really like it. Again, a sentimental favorite. I always like to revisit this, and yeah, it's for all its faults, I think it's very well done, and it really captures kind of an era in history that not too many movies kind of want to show. Like, dirty. It's dirty. Like, you always see like a period piece like this, like wonderful, exquisite, rich people costumes. But here it's like, here's the other side of that. Here's the people who they stepped on. So there's that, and the costume design, set design, brilliant. You feel like you need to take a shower after watching the movie. That's how authentic it is. So yeah. Great work from Daniel Day-Lewis. Scorsese really, really took on a project with a lot of skill and determination, and it's something that he should be proud of. And yeah, I think it's a really good movie, and I would recommend watching it. So, thanks for watching this video.